Ready on our end, Judge. Stage is ready, Your Honor.
All right, this time I'll call cause number 98991D, the Department versus Priscilla Patino and Santiago Florentino. This is in the interest of Maya Florentino, Marco Chavez, and Zariah Chavez. We're here today on a request for court-ordered services, and we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and I'm recording to the Zoom cloud. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
On behalf of the state, Eugene Graff, state announces ready, Your Honor.
Natalie Archer, on behalf of the mother, Priscilla Patino, and we're both present and ready.
Gary Morales, on behalf of respondent father Santiago Florentino. He is present. We are ready.
Stacy Zabala, on behalf of the children.
Okay, then. Mr. Graff, who's your first witness today?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would call Heather Denicky.
Okay, Ms. Denicky, if you'll unmute for me and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Denicky, you are the assigned child protective investigation worker in this case, are you not?
Yes.
Okay, and approximately when were you assigned?
Approximately May 26th.
Okay, and what were the allegations that caused the department to investigate and for you to be assigned?
The allegations were that Maya made an outcry to her mom that her father touched her private area.
Okay. And so did you subsequently investigate the allegation?
Yes.
And what did your investigation entail?
Maya had a forensic interview done at the bridge, and I also I saw Maya and the other two children. I interviewed Priscilla and Santiago. Okay.
And the alleged perpetrator of the sexual abuse is whom?
Santiago Florentino.
Okay. And do you know if there's any criminal charges pending at this time?
There are criminal charges pending. I don't know for sure which they are.
Okay. And you indicated you had done some interviewing with the mother as part of your investigation. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And did you also interview Mr. Florentino?
Yes.
Okay. And did the mother raise any of the concerns about the allegations to you during your investigation?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Can you be more specific for the court's benefit?
She said that she took Maya to Northwest Texas Hospital to get a sexual assault exam done because of the things that Maya was telling her about Santiago touching her private parts.
Okay. Were there any other issues of concern raised by the mother that were significant to you as the investigator besides the sexual abuse allegations?
Regarding concerns that she had or regarding concerns that I have? Concerns that you had. Yes, I was concerned. She told me that she had used methamphetamines approximately 3 weeks before, and that concerned me with the ages of her children. Okay. And
it was 3 months.
Okay, Ms. Patino, you'll have an opportunity. You and your lawyer will have an opportunity to respond.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It just you can't interrupt what they're doing. So.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. And were there any other concerns you had besides the drug abuse and the sexual abuse allegations?
No.
Okay. Subsequent to your involvement, was there any agreement between you and the mother to limit contact with the father? Limit Mia's contact, that is, with the father?
Well, I tried to get a written safety plan in place saying that she would ensure Santiago had no contact with Maya. Priscilla declined to sign that, but she did give me verbal She made a verbal agreement and said she promises she's not going to let him be around her.
Okay. And do you have reason to believe that she did not follow through with that?
I do.
And what specifically gives you reason to believe that?
Because later on, she told me that Santiago had seen her on 2 separate occasions, that he came to the house and she allowed him to have contact with Maya.
Okay. And was there any prior DFPS involvement that you were aware of or learned about during the course of your investigation?
Yes, there was.
Can you be specific about what some of that involvement entailed or involved?
Sure. So in December of 2023, we had a report that alleged that Priscilla was 4 days sober from methamphetamines and was going through withdrawals. In that case, she was not cooperative with the department and did drug screen, and we ended up closing that case. In September of 2023, we had neglectful supervision allegations against Priscilla for an altercation she got into with her other children's father's girlfriend. In 2022, we had an allegation of neglectful supervision of the children by Priscilla. The allegations were that she was abusing cocaine or ice. In that case, she ended up going to inpatient rehab, and the case was open to family-based safety services.
So it sounds like there's a history of periodic drug use, notwithstanding the treatment she apparently received at some point.
Correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to Zariah and Marcos Chavez, who is their father?
Their father is Marcos Chavez.
Okay. And you're not currently seeking services of Mr. Chavez, are you?
No.
Okay. And did he recently obtain a custody order involving Zariah and Marcos?
That's the information he told me, yes.
Okay. And what is your understanding about the terms of that order?
My understanding is that right now it's temporary until they go back to court, and that Priscilla is only to have supervised contact with Marcos and Zariah.
Okay. And now you're not seeking removal of Maya at this time, is that right?
Correct.
Is there some protective safety factor or factors in place that causes you to not seek removal?
No, we were unable to get anything like that.
Okay.
We were unable to come to an agreement.
Okay. Do you believe that there's a substantial risk of ongoing danger of abuse or neglect to Maya, absent the mother's participation in the remedial services?
Yes.
And are you just simply saying that the risk at this point in time doesn't rise to the level of removal?
Yes, I think we would need more information about mom's drug use.
Okay. And have you offered her services?
Yes, I have.
Oh.
And what specifically did you offer?
I offered her to drug screen. I offered her drug screening services. That would be the first step.
Okay. And was she agreeable?
The very first time that I met with her, she said she would be willing to drug screen. And when I actually asked her to do it, she said no.
Okay. And I believe you testified earlier you had also attempted a safety plan?
Yes.
Okay. And what were the terms of the safety plan?
The safety plan was that Santiago would have no contact with any of the children. That was basically it.
Okay. And speaking of Mr. Florentino, is it your belief that there's a substantial risk of ongoing danger of abuse or neglect to the children absent his participation in remedial services?
Yes.
And was he offered any services?
He was also offered the opportunity to do a drug screen, and he refused.
Okay.
And he was offered to...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I also offered a safety plan to him too, for him to sign, saying he wouldn't have contact with Maya throughout the investigation, and he refused to sign that also.
Okay. And in your conversations with him, did he disclose any recent drug use?
He did. He said he had used meth recently.
Okay. Do you recall how recent?
About approximately 2 weeks.
Okay. And so besides the drug abuse and the sexual abuse allegations as they relate to Mr. Florentino, did you have any additional concerns about any safety issues?
No.
Okay. And so at this point in time, you are asking the court to order some remedial services. Can you just describe for the court what services you are requesting and why you're requesting each service?
Yes. So we're requesting that both parents participate, that they maintain a drug-free lifestyle and abstain from using illegal drugs. We're asking them for them to do drug testing. We're asking them for them to do outreach, screening, assessment, and referral, which is OSAR, and to complete any recommendations that are made by OSAR to help them if there are issues with drug and alcohol use. Mm-hmm. We're asking for individual counseling for both parents. We're asking for parenting classes for both parents. A sexual abuse education class for Priscilla. Since her child has made an outcry of sexual abuse, I believe that could be really helpful for her to look out for warning signs and just things to do as a parent going forward. And life skills training classes.
Okay. And then with that, would you also be asking for signed releases of information and maintaining contact with the department?
Yes, we would be.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further. I pass this witness.
All right, Ms. Archer.
Ms. Denicky, do you know if Priscilla if she's already in counseling?
She was not at the time I last spoke to her. She had talked about possibly setting it up through Family Support Services, but I haven't received any confirmation from her that she did follow through.
Has she done services for St. Francis before?
She was in family-based safety services with CPS. I don't think she's done it with St. Francis.
Do any of those services that she completed before, are they the same as what you're asking her to complete?
I would have to go back and look at that. That would have been in 2022, though. And back in 2023, we have had other cases with allegations of drug use by her.
Does Ms. Patino have a place to live?
Yes.
Have you seen that residence?
Yes.
Okay. Did it have running utilities?
Yes.
Did it have plenty of food?
Yes.
Were there any safety hazards that you were concerned about?
No.
And does Ms. Patino have a job?
No.
Yes.
Or do you know, you mentioned family services. Do you know if they're willing to help her pay rent?
I do not know.
Regarding the alleged sexual abuse, is she the one who took Maya in initially?
Yes.
So does she seem like she's on top of the situation?
Currently, no.
Do you know if she's asked for a protective order against Santiago?
She said she had.
Did she take him off the daycare pickup list?
Yes.
Did she tell you that she doesn't hang out with anyone who does meth anymore?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Morales?
Thank you. Ms. Dennehy, you said that there's criminal charges pending. I don't find any on Odyssey. How are you aware that criminal charges are pending?
Law enforcement was going to present charges to the DA of either indecency with a child or aggravated sexual assault of a child. I don't know if they have presented those or not.
And you're not aware, so therefore you're not aware of whether or not the DA accepted any charges?
Correct.
And during the child SANE exam, there was no evidence of any trauma found, correct?
Correct.
And likewise, during an extensive bridge interview, she made no outcry, correct?
She did not make an outcry during her bridge interview. She did make an outcry during her.
Thank you. That was my question. Now, was it reported to you that the only contact Mr. Florentino's had with the child was also in the presence of Miss Patino?
Yes.
And in fact, when the child slept with Mr. Florentino in the same bed, Priscilla was in between the two?
I've heard differently than that as well.
Well, who did you hear differently from? Miss Patino?
Yes.
Now, regarding Miss Patino, this is an individual who's had 3 separate CPS investigations prior to this one. Is that correct?
Yes.
And not only that, but during the course of your investigation in this case, did she not tell you that had she knew that CPS was going to get involved, she wouldn't have even called?
Yes.
Does that not concern you to not only her ability and willingness to protect her child, but her credibility as well?
Yes.
Did you take that to mean that if Santiago did in fact sexually assault his daughter and she knew that CPS was going to get involved, she still wouldn't have reported it?
Yes.
Okay. And does that cause you concerns?
Yes.
And as of today, she has still refused to provide you a drug screen. Is that correct?
Correct.
And was it reported to you that while Mr. Florentino was incarcerated, that Mrs. Patino had several men in and out of her home?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to disbelieve that?
No.
And is it also reported to you that she calls her grandfather, I'm sorry, when I say she, I mean the child calls her grandfather daddy on occasion?
That was reported to me.
Were you able to verify that at all with any conversations with the child?
No, I was not.
I'll pass the witness.
Mrs. Dennehy, in your conversations with Mom, when did she say she had last used meth?
I believe she said it was around 3 weeks prior.
In your conversations with Dad, when did he say he had last used meth?
About 2 weeks prior.
And both of them were given the opportunity to drug test to show whether they were clean at this point?
Yes.
And what was their response when asked?
They refused.
And when this case originally started, there were 3 children in the home?
Yes.
I want to make sure I've got it correct in terms of Zariah and Marcos. They are no longer in the home?
Correct.
Do you know, you had said that the visitation with Priscilla is now supervised. Do you have any details about when that is?
My understanding was that she has to set it up on her own through Family Support Services. I have not seen those court papers though.
But have you confirmed that those two children are no longer in the home?
Yes.
Setting aside the sexual abuse allegations, are the drug concerns by themselves enough reason to want to work with this family?
Yes.
And Maya's still in that home?
Yes.
I pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Groff?
Yeah, just a couple of brief follow-up questions, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Denicky, is it fair to say that the primary risk factors are the continued contact with the father despite the sexual abuse outcry, as well as the recent drug use admissions by the parents?
Yes.
Okay. And counsel was asking you about contact with the father. When was the most recent contact that you're aware of that the mother admitted to between Mia and her dad?
Mm-hmm. I cannot recall off the top of my head. Can I have a minute to look?
If it would refresh your recollection.
Okay. I'm not going to be able to recall the exact dates. It would have been around the beginning of June over a weekend.
Okay. Do you recall sending me an email indicating June 9th and June 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
I recall sending that email.
Okay. Last question then is counsel was asking you a question about the outcry made by Mia, and you had indicated there was no outcry during the bridge interview, and he cut off your response. I believe you were going to indicate there was an outcry made, and who was that outcry made to?
The sexual assault examiners.
Okay, and were you present or did you observe that interview?
I did not observe that, and I was not present.
Okay, but that was reported to you by the examiners?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further. Ask the witness.
Okay. Ms. Archer?
Did you say my name?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to call my client.
Do you have any further questions for Ms.
No,
Denicky?
I do not. No, I do not.
Mr. Morales, any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Okay. Then, Mr. Groff, any further witnesses from the department?
No, Your Honor. The state rests.
Okay. All right, Ms. Archer?
I'd like to call Priscilla Patino.
Okay, Ms. Patino,
Hi.
raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Patino, do you feel like you've been proactive in keeping Maya safe?
Yes.
Are you already in counseling?
Yes, I have so they were booked, but they have openings within like a 1 to 2 week span. It's the only one in Amarillo.
So you already have an appointment set up?
Yes, and I have a meeting tonight at 7.
Who is that meeting with?
My first one. But that's for parenting classes. I also have parenting classes set up. The family services.
Okay.
I also have a paper. I also have a paper from Family Services that they wrote out to me. It's basically stating that I'm doing all the services with them. You want me to read it to you?
No, I would like to know, can you tell me what other services they're providing, though, without reading it?
So it's domestic violence. So it has domestic violence classes, it has sex abuse classes, parenting classes, and counseling.
And are they
also going to pay for my rent?
Okay, that was my next question.
Yes.
Do you have a
rent July?
Do you have a protective order in Santiago against Santiago in place?
No. So whenever they asked the CPS lady if I had asked for one, I asked her for one. That was basically at the beginning.
Okay. Y'all are talking.
No, they referred me to Family Services, and that was it. And so whenever I had asked for that protective order and she denied me, that's when I denied services with CPS, because if they're trying to help me keep her safe, they should help me keep her safe and not refer me to anybody else. They want me to go through this, to go through that, to go through anything and everything, but they can't do anything for me. And honestly, she only
hang on a minute.
She offered.
Miss Bettina, stop. I've been trying to get both of your attention for the last 2 minutes. You all are talking all over each other, so I'm not hearing everything. And trust me, you want me to hear everything. So your attorney is going to ask you questions. You're going to answer what she's asked, and only what she's asked. She will get to all of this. I know there are things you want me to know, but there is a procedure for this. Okay? So,
yes, ma'am.
Listen closely to her question. Answer only that. She'll ask you another question, and you can answer that. All right. Okay. I'm going to address, though, what you were saying about the department getting you a protective order. The department doesn't do that. Protective order is, there are some very specific ways protective orders are sought out, and it generally involves an attorney. Okay? I mean, there are certain protective orders that go in place automatically, in certain situations, and then there are others that you have to actually retain an attorney or get help through legal services or something of that nature. The department is not your lawyer. So that's why they
she had it.
No, that's why they have referred you to maybe another avenue to get that, because they are not your lawyer.
But then she told me a little bit after that her department was working on getting the process started for it. So that was kind of confusing, honestly. Okay. How is it that they can't get it to me? And then a little bit further down the line, when I tell her about the incident, because whenever he came over here and she says that I let him in, he popped up out of nowhere. I have him blocked on all types of calls and messages.
Okay. Hang on. Miss Bettina, hang on. You just narrating and telling me on these things, this is not how it works in a court of law. Okay? The evidence comes out based on the questions and answers of parties. You don't get to just tell me everything you want to tell me. There are rules of evidence. There's rules that apply here. So I'm telling you, the department is not your attorney, and they don't represent parents in getting protective orders. She may have been talking about something else, but it's not a legal protective order. Okay? So just forget the departments that they're going to get a protective order for you, because that's not going to happen. Okay? Now, you have a lawyer now, Ms. Archer, who you can talk to about that. Okay? So you do have an avenue. It's perhaps what she was trying to tell you when you apply for a court-appointed attorney, and if you qualify, then your attorney might seek a protective order on your behalf. Okay? So, but that's different. Yes, all right, Ms. Archer, question and answer, please.
Ms. Patino, do you have a job?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Homoglow. It's a cleaning service.
And how long have you had that job?
Say like 3 days now.
Okay, and where does Maya go when you're at work?
I have her in daycare.
Okay, and did you remove Santiago off the pickup list from that daycare?
Yes.
Are you willing now to drug test for the department?
Yes, I even called her and explained to her on.
Okay,
yes.
just a second. Just yes or no. Are you willing to drug test?
Yes.
Okay. And are you hoping the judge won't order all of the services because you're already receiving them?
Correct.
Okay. And is that through Family Support Services?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Mr. Croft?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Patino. Just have a few questions. It sounds like you agree you can benefit from some of these services.
The one CPS is trying to provide?
Yeah.
No, because I'm doing it all by myself.
Right. But you can benefit from the services they're recommending, whether they offer them or you obtain them on your own, I guess is what I'm asking. Isn't that right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay. So you signed up for individual counseling and a parenting class, correct?
Correct.
And those are services that the department is also recommending, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're also willing to do drug testing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's another service that the department is asking for. So the only other thing that I see on this list that they're asking for is life skills training and a sexual abuse education class. Are you saying you're not willing to do either of those classes?
No, I have sex abuse.
Okay.
I have
Go ahead.
That's what family services is helping me with.
Okay. And isn't it true that you just signed up for these classes in the last 3 days?
No.
No? Well, you just indicated you just signed up for counseling, isn't that right?
I had to just fill out the rest of the paperwork, but I had talked to family services about a week ago.
Okay.
Maybe a week and a half.
And you just signed up?
Family services was at the hospital.
Okay.
She went in to the sane.
My point is, you signed up for these services after the state got involved, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And so you also told the social worker that the father is manipulative, and you also expressed concerns about the sexual abuse allegations. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay. But you did continue to allow him to have contact, didn't you?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, so you didn't allow him to have contact on the 9th or 10th of June?
No, I haven't. No.
So why did you tell the social worker that you had?
No. So what I told the social worker is that he did a pop-up, and I have him blocked on my phone number and other numbers that he contacts me off of. And I wasn't answering, and he couldn't get a hold of me, so he came to my door and was banging on the door like really hard. So then it scared me. So then I opened the door, and Maya sees him, and he just lets himself in. And then on top of it, like, that's what happened.
Okay. So last question, why did you refuse to sign the safety plan?
Because I don't feel as if CPS can help me in any part of way. I felt like I could do it on my own and not have them around.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Morales, any questions?
Yes, John. Ms. Patino, is it accurate that Santiago has never been with Maya alone?
No, he has been.
When?
He even kept her over weekends.
When was this?
I'm not too sure of the dates, but he also, so the 21st, I heard that he said that he was not around her at that time.
The 21st.
When he told the police that he hadn't seen her. Yes. When this originally happened.
Okay.
But he was around her. We were. Sorry?
When was he exercising weekend visits?
I mean, he's had multiple of them.
When?
More than, I'm not too sure. I can't really remember the dates right now.
Was this before or after his incarceration?
After.
What did you mean when you told the investigator that you don't want to be involved with CPS anymore, and had you known that CPS would be involved, then you wouldn't have reported anything to the hospital or the police? What did you mean when you said that?
I was mad and angry, honestly, because I'm over here trying to mentally, honestly, my daughter's going through it. I'm going through it. And then so basically it's just, I feel as if CPS just doesn't like the fact that I don't cooperate. So then they went through the links of having this whole court order going on. But at the same time, like, I'm already dealing with a lot, and they don't add any type of help to my life, but other than to tell me or like have over me some type of control.
Don't you think you might need a little bit of control? I mean, you've had 3 investigations and continued drug use.
I don't have any drug use. The last time I told her was 3 months ago, not 3 weeks ago.
Excuse me, Ms. Pino, that's still drug use that you had while you had care, custody, and control of your daughter. Is that not correct?
Maya was going with Santiago, and my other 2 were going with their dad. Because I had my 2 just passed recently. I had my other 2, 1 week me, 1 week him. And that's what, I don't even have, I went to go pick up my kids, and I couldn't even pick them up because he tells me no. And I don't get no type of court papers for them. I don't get no type of anything for them. So really it's like a one-day switch from all of us being together to all of us not being together.
So does it still does it still hold true today that if you could keep CPS out of this, you would have not called in the first place?
Honestly, I would have still did the same thing, because whether or not CPS is involved, I wanted to literally protect my daughter is what I was going for. I didn't have no second thoughts, honestly. And her dad was taunting me, basically, well, if you really thought that, then you would take her to the hospital right then and there. But at the same time, when you're first going through this type of thing, you don't know what to do. There's no right or wrong, because honestly, I've never been through it, and I couldn't even talk about it because how disturbing it was to me. So then I'm confused on what to do. And then he's over here just, I mean, pushing it. And then finally I was just like, you know what, whatever. I didn't have my stuff together. And that's not what I was worried about. I was worried about her and her coming forward and speaking up for herself, and me trying to protect her in any way possible that I could.
And you understand that when she was asked extensively about her abuse, she made no outcry to the bridge interviewer. You understand that?
Yes, but I do understand my daughter, and my daughter talks
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained. Just listen to his question and answer only that.
Ms. Patino, hypothetically, if you're accused and say you are completely innocent, of sexual abuse of your child, would you still want to see your child?
That's irrelevant because I'm not.
Well, you brought up the
what's
fact,
the purpose of that?
you brought up you opened this line of questioning whenever you said that Mr. Florentino has persisted and continued to try to see Mia.
He didn't try to see her.
I thought you said he came over to knock on the door and that's what he was wanting. And that he tried to get a hold of you numerous times when you blocked him.
Ms. Patino, quit interrupting him. Let him finish. Go ahead, Mr. Morales. Ask the question again.
I thought it was your statement that he tried to get a hold of you numerous times after you had blocked him to get a hold of Maya, and then that he eventually came over to see her twice. Was that not your testimony?
So how did we go from one thing to another though? Because you said this.
Patino, just answer.
I'm just confused.
Listen to his question and answer his question.
No, I'll withdraw. I'll pass it.
Do you know what's?
Okay. All right. Ms. Ball?
Ms. Patino, earlier when Ms. Dinicky was talking about what you had told her about when you had last used, you spoke up and said, no, that wasn't correct. You're saying that it was 3 months ago?
3 months ago. So I just had a CPS case open and closed for detoxing. I called a helpline when I was detoxing, and then I even came forward with her to tell her all that. Sorry, I don't want to say too much. I don't know. But yes.
So, and you've already gone through rehab at least once, right?
Correct.
So what is your plan going forward to make sure that you're not using again?
Honestly, stay away from everybody. Be the mom that I know I could be. And really just stay strong for them because they're everything to me. And I've had my kids for their whole life, literally. And it was just me most of the time. And then their dad got their stuff together. So then he did all of this, but I admit to my wrongs when I did go to rehab and I did all the process for CPS. I admit that I was wrong back then and I got through services. So I wouldn't be scared to admit when I'm wrong now, but I'm not wrong now. And this has nothing to do with me.
Do you think it's important that Maya be able to live in a home that's drug-free?
Yes.
That's what.
All right. Ms. Archer?
I have no further witnesses.
Okay. Anybody else have any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Morales?
Your Honor, I call Santiago Florentino.
All right. Mr. Florentino, if you'll raise your right hand.
You're muted as well.
All right, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
All right, Mr. Florentino, I feel obligated to admonish you that of your Fifth Amendment rights. Even though this is not a criminal proceeding, anything that you say in this proceeding could potentially be used against you if you are charged. I understand that it sounds like that has not happened yet, but the mere fact that could happen, you need to be mindful of what the Constitution says. You have certain rights. Do you understand what the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution is, sir, or what it says?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's your privilege against self-incrimination. In other words, you are not required to give any evidence against yourself or any testimony against your interest. So I think that admonishment is appropriate to give you at this point in time, even though charges have not been filed. So That will be, at this point, then between you and your attorney, what you do answer or do not answer. All right, then, Mr. Morales, you may proceed.
Mr. Florentino, when were you released from TDCJ?
February 12th.
Okay. Of this year?
Yes, sir.
How long were you incarcerated?
25 months.
And did you have any significant visitation with your daughter prior to your incarceration?
No.
This would have been when she was a baby. Do you recall having her any at all independently?
Yeah. Like keeping her by myself.
Yes.
She was younger. Yeah.
Do you remember how frequent that was?
Not. It wasn't too frequent. I mean, it was because she's always been with her mom. So she's.
When you were released in February, did you contact Miss Patino or did she contact you?
She contacted me.
Okay. And did she express that she wanted you to get back in contact with your daughter?
I think it was more of her trying to get back with me, like. But my plan was not to go around her.
Okay. Now, Ms. Florentino, once you were released, where were you residing?
At my brother's.
How long did you live there?
I'd say 2 to 3 months.
Okay. And after that, is that when you moved into the Quality Inn?
No, I had moved to my cousin's.
Okay. How long were you there?
Like 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months, but you were released this February, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you move into the Quality Inn?
I moved to here a couple months ago.
And you work there as well?
Yes, sir.
What do you do there?
I do maintenance and all of the above, really.
What are your hours of operation?
Usually it's like 8 to 9 to 2 or 3.
Okay. And is that 7 days a week, basically just when they need you?
Right, on call. Yes, sir.
Do you get paid in addition to your free stay, or do you just get a free stay?
No, I do get paid.
Okay. How much do you get paid?
$10 an hour.
What's your visits been like with your daughter since you've been released?
Well, like, as in, how they've been whenever I had her.
Yeah, you know what? That was a poor question. Let me rephrase that. How many visits do you think you've had with your daughter since you've been released?
I'd say I've had quite a bit. There's been times where I couldn't get her on the weekend, but I would try to get her every weekend. I would try to. But
And Miss Patina was allowing you to do that?
Yes, sir.
Did she stay with you whenever you exercised your visits?
Who's that?
Miss Patina.
No.
Okay. Did she ever stay with you while you had your daughter?
Yes.
And how often was that?
It was wasn't too often, but it was often. She didn't really, there for a minute, she didn't trust me to take Maya by myself.
Now this report, I'm sorry, this affidavit in support of court ordered services. It alleges that you reported that both you and Miss Patino had smoked methamphetamines since your release sometime this year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you're not denying the fact that you've used methamphetamine since you've been released?
Correct.
And you know that regardless of the outcome of any criminal investigation, that's an issue that you need to address, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you willing to work some services in order to take care of that?
Yes, sir.
You and I had an extensive conversation yesterday about the affidavit in support. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And today, are you asking the court to continue to allow your contact with Mia?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I keep saying Mia. I think I have a cousin named Mia too, but you guys pronounce it Maya, right?
Yes, sir. Maya.
Maya, okay. Now, if your hair follicle comes back or your drug screen comes back positive, you understand you're probably going to be restricted. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
But if you come back with a negative hair follicle and a negative UA, are you asking the court to grant you a standard possession order?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware that Maya made no outcry during her bridge interview?
I was informed yesterday that
you're also aware that there was no evidence of trauma found during her SANE exam?
Yes, sir.
And have you already cooperated with law enforcement in regard to that investigation?
Yes, sir.
And you've made a statement to them?
I did.
And you told them that you're going to be willing to cooperate in any which way that they ask you?
Yes, sir.
And they haven't asked you yet, to do a polygraph examination or anything, but you've indicated that you're willing to cooperate with them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have anything to hide?
No, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Groff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of questions, Mr. Florentino. The incarceration for which you were released in February, that was not for a drug charge, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. And but you did, in fact, tell the social worker, Ms. Danicky, at least the time that you met with her, that your most recent use at that point in time was about 2 weeks earlier, correct?
Around that time, yes.
Okay. And then, although Maya did not make an outcry during a bridge interview, you are aware that she did make an outcry to the sexual assault exam nurse, Ms. Scroggins, or at least you understand that's been reported?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. And you did indicate that you've had contact with her since your release from prison?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further. Ask the witness.
Okay, Ms. Archer?
No questions.
Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, Mr. Morales, any further questions for him?
No further questions, no further witnesses, Your Honor, addressed.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala, any witnesses today?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I do believe that this family could very much benefit from working services. I do believe that that would be in Maya's best interest, and the other two children for whatever time they may be in the home in the future.
And Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation regarding Mr. Florentino's access to the child?
Your Honor, at this time, I don't feel comfortable. I don't know that got enough information. How it may be possible that visitation in a supervised manner may be very appropriate. I am not sure, I believe, it sounds like from the testimony, that there's still an ongoing investigation, and I think it would be important to make sure we hear the results of that investigation.
Before he's permitted contact?
At the very least, before unsupervised contact.
Okay.
I think.
I understand. Okay. Okay, then,
Can I say something?
no, ma'am, do you need to speak with your attorney? Do you need to speak to your attorney?
Sorry, you're cutting out. It says low network.
All right. Do you need to speak with your attorney, Ms. Patino?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Archer, let me put you in a breakout room with her. Ms. Patino, you're going to get a prompt that says join.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everybody else just stand by.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right. You just want to present an argument?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Everybody's rested, so everybody close at this point in time, and I'll permit argument.
You want me to proceed first?
Okay. Mr. Groff, what's your preference?
I have no objection, Your Honor. If she wants to go first, I don't mind going last.
All right. All right, Ms. Archer.
Judge, my client, Ms. Patino, would request that she not be ordered to do services. She feels like she wasn't even on the radar of CPS until she did the right thing by taking Maya to the Northwest Hospital to be examined. You know, she took the possible perpetrator off the pickup list for daycare. She's gotten a job. She feels like she's trying to do all the right things on her own, and she would like a chance to do that before the department gets involved. Thank you.
All right. Then, Mr. Morales, any argument?
Your Honor, as my client, I guess in opposition to Mr. Patino, he understands there is issues with both of them, and he is willing to work services. However, he wants as much visits as possible. I do understand and respect Ms. Zavala's request to wait until the case decides whether or not the DA is going to accept it, but we also know that that can take months in itself. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that the department would ask that this child be isolated from the father for several months when there's no outcry during the bridge interview, no evidence of trauma during the SANE exam. We have a mother with significant credibility issues admits that she wouldn't have even reported the sexual abuse of her daughter if she knew that CPS was going to get involved. She doesn't want to work services so badly that she's willing to allow her daughter to be abused, apparently. Your Honor, that lends me at least to significant concerns to her credibility, the potential for coaching of the daughter. And obviously she has some issues with Mr. Florentino, Your Honor, and that's why we're asking that if the court is to order services, we just give Mr. Florentino visits as quickly as possible, and definitely as much as he can for the time being, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Okay, and Ms. Zavala, any further argument to make?
Nothing further other than my previous recommendation.
All right, Mr. Croft.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just briefly, it sounds like both parents agree that the family can benefit from services. We believe that the case presented demonstrates exactly why services should be ordered. With particular with regard to the mother, it appears that she sort of opened, from her perspective, opened a Pandora's box and now wants to shut it and do services on her own. But it also sounds like she didn't sign up for any of these services until the state essentially intervened. And so we think that this case can benefit from ongoing court supervision as being in the child's best interest. Appreciate Dad's perspective and Dad's candor about willingness to participate with services. I kind of agree with Mr. Morales in part, and I agree with Ms. Zavala. I think the state would like to see the criminal investigation proceed before contact is allowed. However, if the court were to deem contact sooner to be appropriate, we would ask that it be supervised while that investigation proceeds. So that's our position this morning, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Croft. All right. I do find that there's a substantial risk of abuse or neglect and a continuing danger to the physical health or safety of the child, and that services are necessary to protect the child. The drug use, the admitted drug alone is cause enough for concern. Methamphetamine is a very highly addictive drug, very difficult for people to, on their own, without some pretty serious professional intervention, to ever get away from it, to get free of it. You know, people get free, they may go a year or two, they relapse. I mean, it is a very addictive substance. And I mean, that alone in this case was serious cause for concern. In fact, when I read the removal, I sort of wondered why it wasn't a legal removal, to be quite honest. But I am going to go along with the order to participate request. I'm going to order services that have been requested by the department. Now, for the family code, mom can certainly select some of her service providers, and I'm going to permit her to work services to the department so that they can see that information and see what kind of progress we're making. Any other services will be offered through the department. In other words, whatever family support doesn't offer, that'll be through the department. All right, I'm also going to order Mr. Florentino to work the requested services, and I am going to grant him supervised access with the child 2 hours a week, and that will be supervised by the department. And that will continue until either the district attorney refuses these charges or further order of the court. So, you know, Mr. Florentino.
How does that fail?
Ms. Bettino, hang on. Mr. Florentino, the reality is, if you are charged in this matter, in all likelihood, you're going to have a bond condition that will not permit you any contact with the child. So, you know, this is not a criminal proceeding, and I'm going to find at this time supervised access is safe for the child, and so you have the opportunity to maintain that relationship. Doesn't mean that some other court down the line might interrupt that, and I just have no control over that. All right.
Can I say something? Can I please say something?
Ma'am, as long as you're not going to argue with what I've already ruled, because that's the ruling and it's done.
Okay. Can I ask you one quick question?
Okay.
Have you ever met the child?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ever dealt with a mental state of that child?
Well, I've dealt with the mental state of many, many children, ma'am, but
No. Okay, we're not doing any. We're doing my child. Have you ever dealt with my child's mental state?
Ma'am, I have not, but during the course of this case, Ms. Zavala will. She reports directly to me. I may even meet and talk with your child during this case.
So y'all are random strangers, and y'all.
I'm muting you. I'm muting you. You're talking over me. I obviously have not met your child because we are at the very beginning of this case, but it's very likely that I will meet with the child at some point in time. Okay. All right. That will conclude today's hearing. Ms. Archer, if you need a breakout room with her, I can certainly put you back in there, or if you just are going to call her to visit with her, whichever you want to do.
I'll call her after lunch.
All right. Okay. Then I'm going to be in recess for about 15 minutes till our next hearing begins. So everybody that's in this case that doesn't need to stay with me, you're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll get that order circulated. This was my last matter today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.